oh my God, this is amazing and we can make money for it. The world's going to change. And I go, it's so much easier to be hopeful as opposed to fearful is like a sea change. And I see it in so many people when they go through this crypto journey, they come out the other side and they're like, oh, I get it now. I can be an optimist and it's okay. The next election is all going to be about the accelerationists versus the decelerationist. It's the transhumanists versus the humanists. That is the big battle that we're going to face over the next 20 years until it matters not anymore. But that it will not be about anything we've had in the past. Everything we fought an election about, by the time this administration gets to where it wants to get to, it is going to be, holy shit, I want off this rocket ship, or I just want to strap onto the rocket ship, and that's it.
BitcoinZella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to BitcoinZella today and enjoy the new edge. Raoul will dive into AI and crypto, a global network effect shaping tomorrow's economies. We'll cover growing crypto adoption, future economic potential, and more. Let's watch to gain insights.
So, I stumbled across a mimetic that I use that has really encapsulated this, which is unfuck your future. There is this pervasive feeling that your future is fucked, whether it's from technology, debasement of currency, structural shifts in society, aging populations, all of these, that is the thing. And crypto has become here's our way out. It's the life raft. And you can see from that Real Vision event, had we gone back 10 years, none of those people would be even thinking about this stuff. Yet they've been forced into it. And I'm now noticing on the Real Vision platform more and more women coming into the space, particularly women who have, where they've got divorced, they've taken control of their own finances, or career women who've I need to sort this shit out. And before it was a very male thing, crypto. And now I'm just seeing more and more women coming in and say, oh, I get it now. This is actually my future. And the way of manifesting my future is going to be taking this risk in this asset class because it's the only way.
So I spoke on a panel with 3 other people, and there were actually 3 times, this never happened to me at a conference, but there were 3 times where I said something that people started applauding, okay? And all of them
This was at the Real Vision event?
This was at the Real Vision event, yes.
Wow.
And this was about, so one of them was about me setting up a strategic Bitcoin reserve for my kids. And I explained the reason why. And again, I said, you guys are not allowed to touch it. This is for you to have the hope and eventually to get involved in this, because as it works, you're going to be more involved with it because you've benefited from it. And I was teaching them, this is the way you're going to feel like you have the opposite of worrying about a depression. This is going to feel the opposite of worrying about saving, because this thing is going to compound fast for you. And so if the U.S. government never does it, El Salvador, think of it as I'm doing it for my kids in the same way I saw emerging markets. So that was one story. There were other ones that all involved with my thought process on this as bringing back hope and fun to people. And so when the applause are less about me talking about why it's connected to AI and stuff, and it's more about that it brings back hope. Hope is a very, very powerful word for people. I realized it in Brazil, and you've seen it in your travels. There's a lot of countries where people just have no hope. They have no access to education. They have no access to being able to get a job. They have no access to stuff. In this country, it's very, very different. But I think for people that have lost the hope of upward mobility, that have lost the hope of enjoying their day-to-day, I just think that I felt that in the community, and the applause thing really hit me. So,
and I learned this, and you've learned this, is that once you change your mindset from the macro doomer and become the secular bull market, oh my God, this is amazing, and we can make money for it, the world's going to change, and it's so much easier. To be hopeful as opposed to fearful is like a sea change. And I see it in so many people when they go through this crypto journey, they come out the other side and they're like, oh, I get it now. I can be an optimist and it's okay.
Bitcoin's pullback may continue through March or April before it gathers momentum for another rally, according to Matrixport Research. The firm highlights macroeconomic signals, central bank policies, and a surging U.S. dollar as key drivers of this extended correction. Recent global trade tensions have fueled market uncertainty, resulting in a broader sell-off that also dragged down major U.S. stock indexes, including the Nasdaq 100, S&P 500, and Dow Jones Industrial Average. Matrixport's analysts attribute Bitcoin's ongoing weakness partly to the rising dollar, which has been strengthening as traders seek safe havens. A robust greenback often dampens liquidity for risk assets, placing downward pressure on digital currencies. President Donald Trump's decision to maintain tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China has further heightened fears, prompting investors to lean on traditional currencies. This dynamic underscores the importance of watching global liquidity levels to anticipate near-term price movements. Despite the gloom, some traders remain optimistic. Terms like "buy the dip" are gaining traction on social media, reflecting a belief that Bitcoin's current correction represents an opportunity to accumulate at lower prices. Market watchers like Charles Edwards suggest that heightened fear and liquidation events can sometimes signal a short-term bottom. Meanwhile, CryptoQuant's Kai-Yun Ju maintains that the bull cycle remains intact, though he advises caution if the price dips significantly below $75,000. Eyes are now on macroeconomic data and central bank moves, as traders gauge whether Bitcoin's correction has run its course or still holds many more surprises in the weeks ahead.
So here's the funny thing. Almost all the money I've ever made in my life has been during bear markets.
Yeah,
so
that was the macro game. That was the game.
It's the macro game. And so my biggest year was 2008, and every trade I had on worked great. I traded emerging markets throughout the 90s, and I moved my way up the ladder. Most people in emerging markets got fired every 2 years because there was always another bear market, and they'd get levered and they'd be gone. And I not only did well, but I came back and they gave me the biggest book at Morgan Stanley to run on the derivative side in the S&P book when I came back after being in Brazil. So my career was made on that, and I was called Dr. Doom and Gloom because I was bearish. And the year that changed it, and I don't think we've talked about this, but it was 2012. So I really was concerned that the EU would break up. I was one of those people that was like, this is the only thing left. We printed so much money, but now Germany's got to print money. I don't think this can happen. So when Mario Draghi did the famous line in August of 12 and said they'll do whatever it takes, I went, okay, I don't even know what that means, but I do know this. That's a big statement for Europeans. So 6 months later, I made the decision to not travel to China because China had clearly stopped growing, and then now it was in a complete deceleration phase. And I went to Silicon Valley for the first time, and I went to Singularity University. I met Peter Diamandis, and I started ending on this journey. And that's what led to me realizing that, oh my gosh, we're in exponential innovation, and I don't want to think about this. But the connection I did not make, and I blame myself for this, 2011, Mark Andreessen writes, software is eating the world. So when people go, well, the U.S. is going to fall because U.S. companies are overvalued, and I go, they're not U.S. companies, they're global software companies, completely different. These are not U.S. companies. This is actually the first stage of AI. They have no boundaries. They have nothing. Their revenues are mainly overseas. So completely different. But then Mark Andreessen wrote Why Bitcoin Matters. And so when people have asked me what they can read, I always say, read Why Bitcoin Matters from Mark Andreessen. And then he did another post an interview in the Washington Post 5 months later. Two of the seminal pieces for me that it took me a long time to find, he was right on everything he wrote in there. And it really is the thing of, why do you want to understand what Bitcoin is? The paper was digital money. They solved the problem that he wrote. Every programmer he sent to go spend the time on it says he should get the Nobel Prize, meaning Satoshi. So once I started to realize that exponential innovation was just a math formula, that it was compounding very rapidly, and that all of these things would change, I realized, like you did, that the brain's not meant for this and that everyone didn't know how to talk about it. So that's when I started saying, there's no such thing as recession because you guys haven't made the transition yet to understand that software and everything else can't be met.
February has been a whirlwind for crypto, marked by major developments and shifting trends across the industry. The Securities and Exchange Commission paused or dropped 6 legal proceedings targeting exchanges, including Coinbase, signaling a stance after forming a new crypto task force led by Commissioner Hester Pierce. This leniency, coupled with anticipation of Paul Atkins as potential new chair, has given hope to Ripple and its ongoing case. While some corners of crypto welcome a more relaxed regulatory environment, others faced adversity. North Korean hacker group Lazarus staged the biggest crypto heist on record, stealing $1.4 billion in ethereum from Bybit. Meanwhile, memecoin mania began cooling off, dropping to around 40,000 daily new tokens, levels not seen since December 2024. Bitcoin adoption shows stronger decentralization as its global hash rate continues to spread across more nations. China's dominance has diminished to 14%, while the United States still leads but has also ceded some share. Observers note that institutional players and governments continue to invest, but individuals remain the majority holders. This turbulent month underscores both the unmatched allure and inherent risks in crypto. Eyes are now on the policy landscape, where new potential legislation and executive actions may redefine the entire sector. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Seller. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. I do not know why you have not subscribed yet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.